Some years ago, when I needed to travel to the East Coast to attend my cousin's wedding, while I made all my travel arrangements far in advance, I neglected to contact Fetch, my dog Brody's then usual daycare and boarding facility. Because it was so familiar to him, when I left Brody there, he would run off gleefully, without a backward glance, to romp with his canine friends, not minding whether I'd be gone a few hours or a few days. And he would greet me on my return just as joyfully. That time, however, because Fetch was fully booked, I had to leave him at the downtown dog lounge, a place he had only been once, more than a year before, and then only to be registered with them. When I dropped him off on the afternoon before my departure, he looked back at me the whole way as he was led to the small dog enclosure with a look that said volumes. What is this place? Where are you going? Do you have to go? Why can't I go with you? When are you coming back? How will I manage without you? Our readings from John's Gospel last week and this have been from what is called the Farewell Discourses. In verse after verse of chapters 13 through 17, Jesus seeks to teach, comfort, and challenge his disciples. They are gathered in the upper room on the eve of the crucifixion. They have shared a meal. He has washed their feet, and now he is preparing them for his departure. He is about to leave, and they are distressed. This is what the threat of loss does. It shakes up our sense of safety and security. In response to all their fears and uncertainties, those spoken and those he can read on their faces and in their hearts, he has already told them in last week's reading not to worry, that he is going away to prepare a place for them. But they are still upset, for the fear of loss is not so easily defeated. Where is he going? How will they manage without him? And so he tells them that he will not leave them orphaned, abandoned, or alone. Instead, he will send to them an advocate, the Holy Spirit, who will be with them forever. Advocate. The English word most often used to translate parakletos in the Greek can have overlapping meanings. In a legal sense, it calls to mind one who advocates for you in a court of law, a defense attorney, someone who is able to speak for you, to plead your cause more eloquently than you might be able to do yourself. More relationally, it suggests someone on your side who brings help, consolation, comfort, and encouragement. All of these derive from the most basic meaning of the word, which is to come alongside another, to be with someone in whatever situation they find themselves in. So how were they to understand this advocate, the Holy Spirit? And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate, Jesus says. Another advocate. Jesus describes the Spirit as another advocate. Jesus himself was the first. That is, he came alongside them in the incarnation, that they might come to know and see the otherwise invisible God. And what did they see? Someone who came alongside the poor and marginalized, who named what he saw as hypocrisy, who healed and taught and risked everything in the name of love, who was present to those experiencing loss. On that day you will know that I am in the Father, and you in me, and I in you. And in later verses he says, the Holy Spirit whom the Father will send will teach you everything and remind you of all that I have said to you. The Spirit is then not merely some mystical presence within them. It is the empowering presence among them, so that they too will be advocates of the Father, as Jesus was, and continues to be through them, through us. We as individuals, as a congregation, a community, a nation, and a world are experiencing multiple losses on a daily basis at this time. It isn't safe for us to be worshiping together this morning, as we all long to do. We are unable to visit with family members who are in nursing homes, senior residences, or in hospital, whether sick with the virus or some other illness. Our freedom of movement has been curtailed to keep ourselves, our loved ones, and our neighbors safe. Thousands are dying, and it is hard. All these losses, whether of a loved one, income, movement, ordinary pleasures like a meal out, attending graduations, and many others that I know you can name. It's hard to listen to the news of mounting deaths, mixed messages from folk in authority, and the pushing further out in time until we might experience something close to our old normal. Even at the best of times, as a culture, we are not good at dealing with loss. For whatever reason, we seem to lack the resources and emotional wherewithal to acknowledge the losses we and those around us suffer. The threat of loss shakes up our sense of safety and security. Whether we carry with us some cultural remnant of the British stiff upper lip, or that mythical, rugged individual, we can find ourselves unable to face our sense of defeat, loss, inability to do anything to fix things or to change our circumstances, or to allow someone else to make decisions for us that are uncomfortable. And underneath it all, we can find a resistance to admit fear of something beyond our control, and so to deny its power. We can find ourselves tongue-tied in the face of another's loss, hesitant to speak, angry at our own changed circumstances, sad and depressed, or experiencing a desire to deny or push back. A part of us can understand the impatience of those who are protesting against the restrictions. We too, I'm sure, feel impatient at times. We too want our old lives back. And yet it now seems further from our grasp than it did when I stood here 4 weeks ago, even though some places are beginning to open up. And even as they do, it's not the old normal. And always there is the lingering question of whether it's too soon. So how do we go forward in this meantime? We go forward together, always remembering Jesus' promise to be with us, empowered by the presence of the Holy Spirit, individually and as a community. We go forward together as those commissioned to come alongside each other and all whom we meet. It is when we come alongside each other to comfort and encourage, and when we act like Jesus, that we are living into the Holy Spirit's invitation and very being. This is what it means to be one with Jesus, that intermeshing of I and thou and you in me, that we all may be one. Coming alongside the broken and downhearted, the fearful and alone. It can seem all the harder at times when we need to stay distant physically, when we cannot literally touch each other or even be in the same room together. Yet we find ways. We see our neighbors smiling as we pass each other on walks, carefully staying 6 feet apart. We see the signs thanking all those first responders that people post in their yards or in their windows. We see teddy bears and other stuffed animals appear in front windows. If able, we don our masks and assist in our weekly meal preparation for our guests here at church. Some of us spend time sewing masks so that all may have the means to keep themselves and others safe. We reach out in new ways via FaceTime, Zoom, or just over the phone. Sometimes it means merely acknowledging that we don't know what to say or do, and saying that to our friend. And so, my dear friends, what ways are you finding to reach out to others, to come alongside perhaps in new ways? And with that, what are you finding helpful during this time? And what do you need that you could let yourself ask for? How is the Holy Spirit acting within and through you? And what can we do to help? As one of our Eucharistic dismissals says, let us go forth into the world rejoicing in the power of the Spirit that is always as close to us as our own next breath.